what the transaction looks like, and how I do a ton of these, especially in Texas. Texas is one of my biggest markets that I do. Like I have roughly 7 deals in escrow right now, and you could call the title companies, ask my LLC. Yeah. I mean, I do tons of business, and I do them in various different ways. So realistically, what I wanted to do on this phone call is really just give you a high level overview on what to expect and how we transact. And one of the main concerns for the sellers and agents always, so I used to be an agent. I was an agent for 10 years, and I understand your position very, very well. The fiduciary duty, making sure your sellers are protected and taken care of. And I always use that approach in everything that I do, right? Because I used to be an agent. So the number one thing beyond everything, first and foremost, is trust, right? You have to know that the people that you're working with, like the investor that you're working with, that you can trust them, they're capable, they know how to do these transactions. This isn't the first time. Like a lot of the kids that are calling you are watching YouTube videos. They've never done a transaction, nor do they even know how. So I know that's happening right now in this community because obviously there's gurus that are teaching this weekend course and everyone's getting excited, but they've never done a deal before. And so that's dangerous when it comes to whether that person can perform or not, right? So that's, I think, the number one thing that it needs to be understood is I transact a lot. I run a business, have a ton of real estate experience, own my own real estate, was licensed for 10 years, and now I'm on the investor side. So that's number one. So what I do, why I'm telling you all this, is in my contract, which is, it may look similar to the other ones that you've gotten because it's a similar format. However, my contract has something that nobody else's contract has, and it's called seller protection. So right in my additional terms and conditions is a statement that says we will draft a promissory note and a deed of trust to protect the sellers. The title company will come along and they will draft all of the documents that are going to protect your seller. Nobody else does that. Why do I do it? Because my title company that I've been working with nonstop and do a ton of transactions with said, hey, could you do us a favor and put something in here to protect the sellers? I go, absolutely, because I want to do that, right? And so that's first and foremost. There's the trust and there's the protection. And then the next thing to really consider is how are these deals structured and why are they a good option for low equity and low interest situations where, like in your situation, your sellers have 2 mortgages, they've moved away. I mean, we do a ton of these, right? VAs, where they get deployed elsewhere. This is really common, or divorce is really common as well. So what we can offer is we can offer you a very high price. So essentially my offer will mimic a full price traditional offer as far as cash in the pocket to your seller. So when the smoke clears, the net sheet, if we look at the net sheet on this deal, I'll just take a look real quick. So you're sitting at a list price of $265. So it looks like to me, once I reduce out commissions, closing costs, concessions, and the debt, your seller's probably sitting around $15,000 cash to close on a traditional offer. Does that sound about right?
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, so realistically, your seller's biggest concern is how do I get that equity that when I look at a full price offer, how do I get that equity? So we're suggesting we're going to get them that equity, okay, as long as we can take that payment over. So that's really the crux, the difference of traditional versus what we're doing is we just want to take the payment over, but the money in their pocket's the same. Plus the money in your pocket's the same because we're going to pay you the 3%. And, a lot of the newbies, they like to cut the agent's commission. And I never do that because I used to be an agent myself. I would never do that. So I pay all my agents their full 3% on the list. And how we get the number is we take the debt plus the cash to seller and 3% of that. So if I look at this particular situation, it looks like 227 is the debt plus 15,000 would be 242,000 times 3%. That's 7,260. So I would guarantee you your 7,260 at close of escrow, and we would get that 15,000 over to your sellers. And now we could do that. We just want to take the payments over. That's realistically it.
Would their debt to income for this property be eliminated?
So how we would go about doing that is we would get my mortgage broker who does all my deals that are specific to DTI, and we would get your sellers to work with my mortgage broker directly, and he would, look at their certificate of eligibility, because are they VA? I believe they're VA, right?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, so he would need their certificate of eligibility, and I believe it's going to state something like the 227 will be on there, but your sellers still have another $500,000 of eligibility, because I believe the amount is 766 in 2024. So it's not all or nothing. It can be divided. So the debt that currently exists will only take up a very small portion. They'll still be able to purchase up to $500,000 with their VA. Okay, so that's a pretty simple fix. We just have to get a meeting with our mortgage broker to come in and help your sellers. So that's pretty easy to do. Did that answer your question?
Kind of. So I'll give you a little bit more info on them. Like I said, they've already moved on from the property, and they purchased another one in another state. They moved, no fault of the property. They just got a different job, and so they moved. However, unfortunately, their new home, which took them forever to close, came with horrific neighbors. So, yeah. So the goal for them would be to buy a third property using their VA entitlement.
Okay.
However, they do need to get rid of the debt to income for this one, because, the one, like you said, 227 plus the 300 that they just bought, and the one that they want, I want to say, is over 300.
Okay.
So that's why it's like, if we can get that out of their name, they would be able to buy that third property.
So I think the first thing to do would be to get with my mortgage broker, Jacob, to see how he can help them with this situation, right? And give them a real answer.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Another
that would be
thing
the thing.
Run into with them is that they have a preferred mortgage broker. So that's why it's like, a lot of people have done the same thing, where they've given us an offer and said, hey, don't worry, we'll clear it. Just use our lender for the next one. But they have one that they're kind of sticking with and don't want to let go of.
Well, here's the issue, right?
I don't know that
I
one,
get
because
it.
I'm on the sell side. I'm on the sell side with them, so I haven't really worked with this lender that they're using. But for some reason, they're adamant about using this one, and he's the one that's kind of not necessarily. Maybe he's not familiar with this kind of situation where they can.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say. Is the real question is what's gonna serve your sellers the best, right? It's not. I mean, I know relationships are important. Everyone likes who they like. I get it. But at the same time, if they're trying to get something done and they are trying to get their third house, I mean, you need someone that can facilitate the transaction, number one, right? So all mortgage brokers aren't cut the same, just like all agents aren't cut the same. Every agent's different, right? Every agent has their strong points and weak points. So
of course,
all I could suggest is getting an introduction with Jacob and getting that conversation going, because if we could get the deal done and get some cash in their pocket, then let's help your sellers out. Let's get your sellers what they need,
Exactly.
So you tell me, like, how do you see this going? Like, what do you want to see happen next? Do you want me to get you an offer? And I mean, I can tell you on rough numbers right now, I could easily do 10,000 cash to close plus your commission covered. And then that other remaining 5,000, we could just do a very short seller carry, like a 3-year seller carry, where it just gets monthly payment is made, and it's really small, and it'll get taken care of pretty fast. So we can do it like that, and I can send you that offer today.
Okay. So it would be full price technically, like according to the listing right now. They would get 10,000 at closing. I would get my commission, and then there's what? Explain to me the extra 5,000.
Yeah. So here's I'm gonna run the numbers with you, like so that's really easy to understand. So right now, I'm gonna mimic a full price offer, and how I'm gonna do that is based on the cash in the pocket of the seller. So if we can agree that your net sheet is sitting in around the $15,000 mark, then that's what I want to get your sellers in their pocket, right? So if I take the current debt of 227, okay, plus 15,000, that puts your sellers at a 242 price, plus your commission, which is 3%. Okay, so 7260 plus 244, the total contract will be for 260, right? And that's going to include 15,000 to your sellers, 7260 for you, and the debt. Okay, so that's what the contract will have written on it. Now, that 15,000 to the sellers will be paid in this way: $10,000 cash to close, and $5,000 on a seller carry, which would be, I'll just tell you exactly what it would be, divided by 36 months. It'd be $138.89 a month for 36 months, and that's $5,000.
And that would be going to the seller
Directly, yep, every month.
I'm just curious, like, why do we have that extra $5,000 that is paid in however many months?
Yep, exactly, because our whole position on purchasing these properties is to try to go in with the least amount of capital so that we can get it up and running and stabilized in order to get it on a long-term rental. So if I run the rental on this just briefly, I'll just tell you right now. So Fortune Ridge rental is like around $1,650 to $1,700 approximately. And do you know the monthly payment on this one? Did you get? So it says PITI.
That's about the same.
Yeah, so exactly. So there's the answer, right? So we don't mind doing break even. Break even's okay. Now, if we did all the money down, it becomes harder to stabilize the property the higher the capital that we put down and close on, because it'll be your fee. So just you and the sellers together right now, the way I'm suggesting would be approximately 17,000 plus the closing costs for us. So that would put us at around the maybe $22,000 mark, $23,000 mark. Add 5,000 to that, right? Now we're at $28,000 mark, right? So it's just a way for us to reduce our initial entry in order to make it work for us to stabilize the property on the long-term rental. That's essentially it, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So if that's something that you want to see in writing, I'm happy to write up the offer and send it to you today. And then if your sellers are interested in moving forward but just want the DTI figured out, then I'll get Jacob's information over to you, and I'll CC you all on an email and get the conversation going immediately so we can help them as quickly as possible.
Okay, I think that would work. Could you send me that option as a formal offer or whatever you want to call it, so that I could present it to them and just explain to them everything that you've told me? That'd be perfect. Sure.
We're in a good place. Let me get this contract out to you today. And could you just do me a favor and text me over your email address so I have the correct information, and I'll put this together in about 90 minutes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And like I said, I look forward to working with you.
Okay, likewise. Thanks, Lynn.